My husband abandoned me and our triplets during my cancer battle. Years later, thinking I was dead. You're already as good as dead. I can't waste my life on you and those brats. Those were the merciless words my husband spat at me when I was at my weakest, fighting breast cancer with our triplets crying at my side. He walked away, abandoning us in sickness and despair, choosing freedom over family, comfort over commitment. Years passed and the world believed his lies. He thought I was gone forever, buried with the pain he left behind, erased from existence. But sometimes life writes a different ending. Sometimes the one you abandon returns in a way that shatters everything you built on their ashes. This is my story. The story of a woman left to die who rose again with a strength no betrayal could kill. And today it is being retold by me. Hello, family. Welcome back. Before we begin, I have a small but heartfelt request. Please subscribe. Your support is what keeps these stories alive. Every time you click that button, you're helping us share voices that would otherwise be forgotten and stories that deserve to be heard. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from. Because together, we are not just telling stories. We are keeping hope alive. The hospital room in Cape Town was too quiet for a place filled with so much pain. Amara Osei sat on the edge of the exam bed, one hand resting protectively on her stomach, the other gripping the thin mattress. Her heart raced, but her face stayed calm for the babies. The doctor's words had been clear, but her brain couldn't catch up. Stage 2 breast cancer. Her triplets were barely 5 months old. The nights were long, the diapers endless. She hadn't slept properly in weeks, and now cancer. She stared blankly ahead as the doctor kept talking, explaining treatments, options, survival rates. But all she could hear was the soft sound of her babies breathing from the stroller nearby. Then came Kwame, bursting into the room, expensive suit still crisp, designer watch catching the fluorescent light. He flashed a concerned smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Amara," he said, rushing to her side. "What's going on? What did they say?" She looked up at him, searching for the man she married, the man who once promised to love her through sickness and health. "I have cancer," she whispered. His face dropped not in shock, but in something closer to annoyance. Like the word had ruined his carefully planned day. "What?" he said. "Are you absolutely sure?" She nodded slowly. "Stage 2. It's serious, but treatable. We caught it relatively early, but it's going to be tough. I'll need help with the kids, the house, everything." He stepped back. "Jesus, Amara. This is a lot." Her voice cracked. "I know, but I can fight this. I just need—" Yeah, he cut in, pacing the small room. "Of course. We'll fight this together." But she saw it. The hesitation. The shift in his eyes. It wasn't fear. It was calculation. That night at home, Kwame didn't sleep in their bed. He said he had late work emails to handle, but Amara woke at 2 a.m. to find his side cold and empty. She rocked one of the babies, trying not to let the tears fall. She told herself he was just stressed, that this was overwhelming for both of them. But things only got worse. The next few weeks were a blur of doctor visits, medications, and sleepless nights. Amara grew weaker. Her hair started falling out in clumps. Some days she couldn't even stand without help. And Kwame? He started leaving earlier, coming home later, avoiding eye contact, always on his phone. "Kwame, I need you," she said one morning, barely able to hold a bottle to feed one of the twins. "I'm drowning here." He rolled his eyes. "You think I'm not dealing with things too? I'm out there working, trying to keep this house standing while you lie in bed all day." That one stung. "I'm not lying in bed," she whispered. "I'm sick. You know that." "You're always sick now," he muttered under his breath. But she heard it. And in that moment, she felt more alone than ever. One Sunday morning, they went to church together. Kwame insisted on it. "We need to show face," he said. At the service, he clutched her hand like a devoted husband. When the pastor asked for prayers for the sick, Kwame stood and publicly asked for strength for his brave wife battling cancer. People clapped. Some cried. One woman hugged Amara afterward and said, "You're so blessed to have a man like him." Amara nodded politely, but inside something had cracked. Because the night before, she'd found a text on his phone. "I miss you already. Can't wait to see you again. S." She hadn't said anything yet. She wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding. But when she checked again the next night, the messages were gone. Deleted. Later that week, Kwame came home with a new designer shirt. Expensive, definitely not in their budget. "Is that new?" she asked, holding a crying baby in one arm and a burp cloth in the other. He glanced at her dismissively. "Yeah, I had a meeting." "With who?" "Business stuff. You wouldn't understand." He walked past her, brushing off the question like she was a stranger. But Amara did understand. Nia, Amara's old friend and a nurse, came by one evening to help with the babies. Amara finally broke down. "I think he's cheating," she said quietly, tears spilling down her cheeks. "He's never here. He's angry all the time. He looks at me like I'm disgusting." Nia frowned. "You're not crazy, Amara. You've always had good instincts." "But I'm sick," Amara said. "What if I'm just being paranoid?" Nia squeezed her hand. "Paranoia doesn't delete messages. And if he's walking out on you now while you're fighting for your life, then he was never worth it to begin with." 2 nights later, the truth broke wide open. Amara woke up thirsty around midnight. She walked downstairs and heard Kwame's voice in the living room. He was on the phone, didn't know she was there. She froze behind the wall. His voice was cold, sharp. "No, I'm not dragging this out. She's basically dead already." Amara's breath caught. "I can't waste my life on her and those brats. I need out. This is my only shot." Then silence. The call ended. Amara stood there for a long time frozen, shaking. The man she loved, the father of her children, the one she trusted above all else, had just written her off like garbage. She backed up the stairs slowly, her legs trembling, heart in pieces. The next morning, he was gone. The closet half empty. His car missing. A single note on the counter. "Don't try to find me." That was it. No goodbye. No explanation. Just a final slap in the face. Amara dropped to her knees, the babies crying behind her. Her vision blurred, her chest tightened. And then she collapsed. The sound of a baby crying pulled Nia from sleep. She had dozed off on the couch, planning to stay the night to help Amara rest. But something didn't feel right. She sat up fast, listening. Another cry. Then another. All 3 babies were wailing. Nia rushed upstairs and found them screaming in their cribs. But where was Amara? "Amara," she called out. No answer. She checked the bedroom. Empty. Panic rising, she ran down the hall and found Amara lying on the hallway floor, pale, sweating, barely breathing. "Amara." Nia dropped to her knees and checked her pulse. It was there, but weak. She called emergency services with shaking fingers. At the hospital, doctors worked fast. Amara had collapsed from extreme exhaustion, dehydration, and stress, combined with the toll of cancer treatment. She was lucky to be alive. Nia stayed by her side, feeding the babies in the waiting room and checking on Amara every hour. When Amara finally opened her eyes, everything felt blurry. Her throat was dry, her body ached. "Where are they?" she asked, barely above a whisper. Nia leaned in. "The babies are safe. They're okay. And you're safe too." Amara blinked slowly. "He's gone." Nia nodded. "I know." For days, Amara didn't speak much. She watched the ceiling, listened to hospital sounds, took her meds, fed her babies with trembling hands. The silence was loud. Kwame had left. Not just her, but their children. He didn't even check if she survived. He just vanished. She looked at her babies, tiny, innocent, needing everything from her. She wanted to scream, to cry, to punch something. But instead, she held them, all 3, as close as she could. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Nia came in one afternoon holding a stack of paperwork. "I found something," she said. Amara sat up slowly. Nia placed the papers on her lap. "Kwame drained your savings account 3 weeks ago, right before he left." Amara blinked. What? He took everything. All the money you had saved, even the small inheritance from your grandmother. It's gone. Amara covered her mouth, trying to hold back a sob. Nia continued quietly. And I checked the life insurance policy. Your name was listed as beneficiary, but Kwame filed a claim pretending you had died. It was denied, but he tried. Tears filled Amara's eyes. He wanted me gone. Really gone. Nia nodded, jaw clenched. He wanted a clean slate. No wife, no kids. Just money and freedom. Over the next few weeks, Amara stayed in the hospital recovering. Her cancer treatment was adjusted slower now, less aggressive since her body was so weak. She didn't have the strength to fight Kwame legally. Not yet. She didn't have the money either. But what she did have was time. Every night, she whispered the same promise to her children as they slept beside her. I'm not done. He may think I'm buried, but I'm still breathing. And one day, he'll see just how alive I really am. Meanwhile, far away in a luxury apartment in Sandton, Johannesburg, Kwame poured wine for Simone Hart. Everything's behind me, he said, slipping an arm around her waist. It's just you and me now. She smiled. You're sure she's gone? He nodded. Dead and buried. Trust me. Simone clinked her glass to his. To fresh starts. He smiled, completely unaware that the past he tried to erase had just taken a deep breath and wasn't going anywhere. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Through our stories, we build hope and give a future to children and women who've been abused all over the world. Motivate us by subscribing and turning on your notification bell. Also, let us know in the comments where you're watching from and how this story hit home for you. Amara woke up to the sound of roosters, not traffic. She was lying on a worn-out mattress inside a small 2-bedroom cottage in a quiet rural town outside Cape Town. The walls were thin, the floors creaked, the kitchen tap dripped all night. But it was safe. It was hidden. She slowly sat up, wincing from stiffness. The chemotherapy had left her weak. Her body was a battlefield. But she was still here. Still breathing. The triplets were asleep in the next room, cuddled together in a crib that Nia had found through a local church charity. They didn't know what had happened. They only knew their mother's scent and warmth. Amara brushed her hand over her scalp, still bald from treatment. Her reflection in the mirror barely looked human. Pale skin, sunken cheeks, tired eyes. A ghost of the woman she used to be. But ghosts don't die. They wait. Nia had saved her life in more ways than one. After Amara collapsed, Nia pulled every string she had at the hospital. She arranged for Amara to be discharged early under a different name, Amina Mensah. A trusted doctor signed off on the papers. Nia helped move her and the babies to this rural area 3 hours away. No one there knew Amara Osei, and that was the point. Kwame had made sure Amara had no family left to turn to. Before he vanished, he poisoned every relationship, spreading lies to her relatives that she was unstable, impossible to live with, refusing treatment. So when Kwame told them Amara had died, they believed him. He even held a funeral. Nia found out through an old mutual friend in the city. It was small, private. Kwame cried in front of a priest, holding one of the babies for dramatic effect. He said Amara had passed peacefully. He buried you alive, Nia told her. Amara stared in disbelief. He buried me? Nia nodded. He's got everyone fooled. The man deserves an Oscar. A few months later, the news got worse. Kwame married Simone Hart. The wedding was extravagant, held at her father's vineyard estate. Photos of the happy couple were splashed across Cape Town society pages. Kwame wore a tailored tuxedo. Simone wore a gown worth more than Amara's entire life savings. But the part that burned deepest was the caption on one photo. Kwame Osei, widowed father of triplets, finds love again after heartbreak. He had built a new life on Amara's grave. At night, when the kids were asleep, Amara would scroll through the internet with trembling hands, searching for traces of the man who destroyed her. Kwame was doing interviews now, selling himself as a dedicated father and mental health advocate. He even started a nonprofit, the Amara Foundation for Women's Cancer Awareness. He used her name, her suffering, to raise money, gain praise, become someone. She should have been furious. She was furious. But her kids were her anchor. "I want to fight," she told Nia one night. "I want to burn it all down. But if I show my face now, he'll take them. He has power, connections. He could twist everything." Nia nodded. "Then we wait. We get you stronger. You build yourself in silence. And when you come back like a storm." So she did. Years passed. Amara worked odd jobs under the radar, cleaning homes, babysitting, doing laundry for elderly neighbors. Nia helped when she could, driving back and forth on weekends with groceries or medicine. The kids grew healthy, happy. They called her mommy with love and laughed without fear. Amara's hair grew back. Her cheeks filled in. She learned how to live again. But she never forgot. Then came the twist. Nia walked into the kitchen one Saturday with a manila envelope in her hand. Her face was tight. "I did some digging," she said, sliding it across the table. Inside were copies of forged documents, a fake death certificate, stolen account numbers, a list of financial transactions Kwame made under Amara's name after she had died. "He tried to cash in on your life insurance," Nia said. "He failed, but he took your inheritance. The account from your grandmother. Gone. Transferred to a shell company. All in his name." Amara stared at the papers. Her jaw clenched. "He killed me on paper to steal from me." Nia nodded. "And everyone thinks he's a saint." Later that week, a video popped up on Amara's social feed. It had already gone viral. The caption read, "Kwame Osei receives Humanitarian of the Year award for his work in cancer advocacy." The video showed Kwame standing on stage, smiling for cameras. Simone was beside him, glowing. Behind them, a huge banner, the Amara Foundation Gala for Women's Strength. Amara stared at the screen, heart pounding. He was still using her name, her pain, her story. He had turned her entire life into a brand, one built on lies. She stood there trembling with rage. Nia watched her carefully. "Say the word. We can start taking him down." Amara's voice was cold, steady. "Not yet. Let him climb higher. Let the world worship him." She paused. "Because the higher he goes, the harder he'll fall." It had been nearly 6 years since Amara Osei died. Now she stood in front of a dusty storefront on the edge of Cape Town, keys to a new life in her hand. The old sign read, "Grace and Hope Home Goods." She'd bought it under her new legal identity, Amina Mensa. Everything was clean. Nothing tied back to her old life. Nia stood beside her holding a box of supplies. "You sure you're ready for this?" Amara nodded, her eyes firm. "I've been hiding long enough." The shop took months to shape. Amara used every spare rand from her years of work to fix it up. She painted walls, reflowed the back room, brought in handmade goods from women in local shelters. It wasn't just a business. It was a quiet rebellion. A second chance. Her triplets, now 6 years old, ran around the aisles giggling as they played hide-and-seek behind display shelves. To everyone in the neighborhood, Amina Mensa was a single mother who'd survived cancer and built a new life from scratch. No one questioned where she came from, only what she stood for. And slowly, the shop became a small success. But that wasn't her goal. Her goal was to rebuild power in silence until she could crush the man who tried to erase her. Nia had a plan. It started with a phone call to an old friend in the media, Thabo Mthembu, a journalist known for digging into corporate corruption. She arranged a quiet meeting at Amara's store after hours. Thabo showed up wearing a leather jacket, thick-rimmed glasses, and a skeptical look. "So let me get this straight," he said, sipping bad coffee. "You want me to expose Kwame Osei? The same guy with his face on every charity billboard downtown." Amara didn't flinch. "He faked my death, stole my inheritance, lied to the world. And now he runs a cancer charity in my name." Thabo blinked. "You're Amara Osei?" "Legally, no," she said. "But biologically, emotionally, and painfully, yes." She slid a folder across the table. It was full of documents, forged signatures, fake death certificates, financial transfers, all carefully compiled by Nia over the years. Tabo's expression changed. I've heard whispers about this guy, but no one ever had receipts like this. You do now, Amara said. But I don't want you to publish it yet. Tabo frowned. Then what do you want? I want to burn him down in front of the people who praise him. And when the time comes, I'll give you everything. While Tabo began digging deeper into Kwame's business practices, Amara played her part. She sent anonymous tips to regulatory boards. She submitted reports using burner emails. She clipped documents, forwarded redacted versions of Kwame's accounting to watchdog groups. She didn't speak her name. She didn't show her face. But the cracks started forming. One day, a foundation partner quietly pulled out of a charity event. A bank paused a loan on one of Kwame's properties. A former accountant leaked records to a small blog. The empire Kwame built on Amara's ashes had termites in the walls. And it was all collapsing from the inside. Meanwhile, Simone Osei, formerly Hart, was feeling the pressure too. At first, being married to Kwame had been a dream. Lavish dinners, designer clothes, perfect smiles. But the shine wore off fast. Kwame was always distracted, secretive, controlling. He didn't want her working, didn't want her seeing certain friends. And anytime she asked questions about his first wife, he'd shut down. Why don't we ever talk about Amara? She asked one night. She's dead, he snapped. What is there to talk about? But something felt off. She'd gone through old photos once and noticed that none showed Amara pregnant. None of the baby pictures had timestamps. There were no hospital bracelets, no birth announcements. Just staged moments. Simone started digging. She paid a private investigator quietly to look into the death certificate Kwame had filed. The report came back disturbing. The certificate had never been verified by the state. It was flagged as incomplete.
Hi, bestie. Kunyafo hivi kumeshawa uruang. If you enjoyed the story so far, don't forget to like and subscribe for part 2. Comment where you are watching from and I will reply with my favorite emoji. Thank you.